October 2002. Close your eyes for a second. What comes to mind? The headlines. Maybe your own life back then. Now picture this. Washington, D.C. Everyone's on edge. Not from some big political thing. No. It's the fear, Seemingly random shootings, people getting targeted, just going about their day, parking lots, gas stations, even a school. It got under everyone's skin.
Absolutely. That's what made it so scary. You couldn't predict it. Victims, locations, it was all over the place. It felt like danger could be anywhere.
And that's what we're diving into today. The Beltway Sniper Attacks. We've got a ton of sources, timelines of everything that happened, deep dives into the investigation, and even stories from back then, capturing how tense it was.
We're going to break it all down. How it started, how they caught them, what it meant for everyone, and of course, we're always going to remember the victims and their families.
Let's rewind to the beginning. Early October 2002, Maryland. The first one that really got people's attention, October 2nd, a man killed in a Wheaton parking lot, just going about his business. But the next day, that's when things really exploded.
Yeah. October 3rd. Morning hits, and bam, 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 4 more people killed, just like that. Aspen Hill, Montgomery County, it all happened so fast. Then later that day, another one, this time in Tacoma, D.C. It was the speed of it, the closeness of it. It just felt coordinated, scary.
Everyone was scrambling for information. Remember, this is early on. Things were confusing. There was talk of a white box truck. Everyone thought that was it. Turned out, wrong lead. Shows you how easily things can get twisted when everyone's stressed, right?
Well, what's interesting is how law enforcement jumped on it. They knew this was big, so Montgomery County Police, under Chief Charles Moose, they were the main ones, but the FBI went all in too. A ton of agents, a tip line must have been ringing off the hook, and they were using this new digital mapping tech to track everything.
Right, and they brought in behavioral analysts. Now, for folks who don't know, what do those guys even do in a case like this?
Oh, they're key. They look at every detail, every little thing, where it happened, when it happened, how it happened. All of it builds a picture of who might be doing it. They try to get inside their head, figure out why, and maybe even predict what they'll do next. It helps narrow it down. And they had this huge joint operations center, everyone working together, FBI, local police, essential when you've got so many moving parts.
But as the days went on, it wasn't just Maryland and D.C. anymore. The shootings spread into Virginia, Spotsylvania Mall, then a school in Bowie, a gas station in Manassas, another in Fredericksburg, even a Home Depot in Falls Church. It felt like the whole region was a target.
And each shooting, the anxiety just went up and up. Then a 13-year-old boy got shot at school, right there in Bodie. That hit home for parents. I mean, imagine that, your kid at school, not even safe there. And then Linda Franklin, an FBI analyst herself, she's killed outside the Home Depot. Now it's hitting close to home for law enforcement, too.
And then that tarot card, the death card, left right there at the school shooting in Bowie. Written on it, "Call me God." Chilling. They tried to keep that quiet, but it leaked to the press. It added this whole other layer to it, this theatrical element almost. Why do you think something like that has such a huge impact, psychologically, I mean?
It's powerful, right? That image of the death card. It taps into something primal, something we all kind of fear. And that message, "Call me God." Talk about a God complex, this desire to control, to instill fear. And now investigators, they'd have to consider, is this real? Is this how the killer thinks? Or is it a game trying to throw him off? Our sources probably shed some light on how seriously they took that.
And people changed everything. Imagine living through that. Gas stations putting up tarps, people ducking down while filling their tanks, schools locked down, no one playing outside, the whole area living in fear. Can you imagine just getting gas, a simple thing, and you're afraid for your life?
It makes you think, about how fragile that sense of safety is. We just go about our lives and then boom, you never know. When it's random, unpredictable like that, it does something to a community.
But then, weeks of this, and finally a break. And get this, it kind of came from the killers themselves. October 17th, someone calls, claiming to be the sniper. They mentioned this robbery down in Montgomery, Alabama, a month earlier. 2 women killed at a liquor store, they say. Except only 1 woman was actually killed.
And that little detail, that slip-up, that's what changed everything. Suddenly, investigators are thinking bigger. It's not just D.C. anymore. There's a connection out there somewhere. And that Alabama shooting, that's their link.
And it was the right move, because fingerprints and ballistics, they had them from Alabama. An FBI agent flew that evidence straight to D.C. Now, well, the ATF looked at ballistics, and can you explain that quickly? What's the big deal with ballistics?
Sure. So every gun, when it fires, leaves tiny marks on the bullet. Think of it like a fingerprint, but for the gun. So they compare the bullets from the crime scenes to other bullets, maybe from a gun they found or a database they have. and boom, you can link a gun to a crime. In this case, it connected the DC shootings to that Alabama case.
So while ATF's doing that, the FBI, they run those fingerprints through their system.
And this is where it gets amazing. Technology, right? Their database spits out a match. Lee Boyd Malvo. Turns out he'd been arrested before up in Washington State. That's how they had his prints. Now they have a name, a real lead.
And that arrest record had another name on it. John Allen Muhammad. And an FBI agent in Tacoma, Washington, he recognized that name. See, someone had tipped them off about Muhammad earlier, but it didn't seem like much then. Now with Malvo in the picture, it all clicked. Two suspects.
It's all about teamwork, right? Different agencies, different pieces of the puzzle. And the ATF, they figure out Muhammad had this Bushmaster .223 rifle, but he wasn't supposed to have guns, restraining order and all, federal violation. Now they can go after him. And since they've got Malvo connected, they get a warrant for him too.
And digging into Muhammad, they find he's registered this blue Chevy Caprice in New Jersey. License plate NDA21Z. That information. Straight to the news. Everywhere. Remember that white box truck? Gone. Now everyone's looking for a blue Chevy Caprice. Crazy how one little detail changes everything.
It's like I said, investigations, they twist and turn. You follow every lead, even the small ones. That white van, that was a strong lead. Eyewitnesses and all, but sometimes even those are wrong. But then, bam, a license plate pops up and everything changes.
And then, October 24th, early morning, it's over. Muhammad and Malvo, they're found sleeping in that blue Caprice at a rest stop off I-70 in Maryland. Arrested, no fight, nothing. Turns out, someone spotted the car, called 911. Actually, two calls, both from the same guy, a mechanic working there. He saw that Caprice, that license plate, and knew. Law enforcement swarmed the place, blocked every exit, no way out.
And what they found inside that car, talk about chilling. This wasn't just a car, it was their hideout, their weapon. They called it a rolling sniper's nest. They had cut a hole in the trunk right by the license plate. Someone could be in there shooting and no one would know.
And the crazy thing is, it was all planned out. They took out the metal behind the back seat so you could crawl right into the trunk from the car. They thought of everything, how to stay hidden, how to get away.
And the stuff they found. Evidence everywhere. That Bushmaster .223, the one used in all the shootings, they had a scope, a tripod to keep it steady, the car's manual, they'd written a ransom note on it, impressions still there, a voice recorder for the extortion calls, a laptop with maps of where they'd shot, escape routes, walkie-talkies. It was all there, their whole operation crammed in that car.
It just shows you how calculated it all was. Every detail planned, every step thought out.
So after they're caught, both Malvo and Muhammad, they go through the legal system, Maryland, Virginia, the whole thing. In the end, Malvo gets life without parole, multiple sentences. Muhammad, convicted in Virginia, he gets the death penalty.
And in 2009, he was executed. It brought a kind of closure, legally speaking, but for the families, the pain, the loss, that never goes away.
And during Muhammad's trial up in Maryland, Malvo, he testified, confessed to all 17 murders, and he laid out Muhammad's whole plan, this multi-phase thing. It went way beyond the shootings. More violence, extortion, even a plan to recruit kids, train them to cause terror in cities. It's disturbing the scale of what he wanted to do.
It makes you think, right, about what drives someone to do something like that, the planning, the coldness of it. And it makes you wonder, what if they hadn't been caught?
And there was a big civil suit. The victims' families, they went after Bullseye Shooter Supply, that's where the gun came from, and Bushmaster, the company that made it. It ended in a settlement, both companies paying out. For the families, it wasn't really about the money, I think. It was about sending a message, about responsibility.
It raises all these questions, doesn't it? About accountability. Who's to blame when something like this happens? And of course, we can't forget the victims. There are memorials like the Reflection Terrace at Brookside Gardens in Wheaton and another in Rockville. And all the movies, the shows inspired by this, it shows you how much of an impact it had on everyone.
Yeah, those memorials, they're so important. A place to remember, to grieve, to heal, for the whole community.
So looking back, what stands out? The fear that gripped everyone, how law enforcement worked tirelessly to catch them, and then all the legal stuff that followed. But it's more than just dates and facts, right? It's about how these seemingly random acts changed everything for so many people, and remembering those who were lost.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How something so unpredictable can cause so much fear. It makes you question how safe we really are. But then you see how dedicated those investigators were, how they never gave up. That's reassuring in a way. They bring justice, even when it seems impossible.
And maybe it makes us think about why someone would do something like this. the motivations, the consequences, not just for the victims, but for all of us.
It's a lot to process for sure, but it's important to remember to learn from it.
It is. It
Yeah.
truly is.